Back in the 90s and early 2000s, video game commercials were wild. Some were funny, some were weird, and a few were downright terrifying. So I sat my wife down, a total non-gamer, and showed her some of the craziest retro game ads ever made.
Wow.
This is her real-time reaction to some of the most bizarre, off-the-wall marketing that ever hit TV screens during our childhood. Okay, so the first commercial that I have in store for Megan here is the infamous Sega Saturn Theater of the Eye commercial. I figured we just put out a Sega Saturn episode. Why not start things off with some of the marketing that was involved with the Sega Saturn? And you can tell me whether or not you think it was good or bad marketing.
Welcome to the Theater of the Eye.
Rods and cones report to the orbital socket.
How nice. We're trimming the toenails. What's that?
Optic nerve. This is the brain. What's going on down there?
The eardrum's going off! Go get help!
We're having a breakdown, we're having a breakdown, we're having a breakdown, having a breakdown, we're having a breakdown, having a breakdown.
What else can go wrong?
Urgent synapse on line 2. It's the sphincter.
What is going on up there?
Sega Saturn.
Okay. My favorite part of that was the nervous system. I loved that part. The drool coming as a female watching this, and I can tell you as a child watching this would not have been my thing. It's a little too much. It's a little too much grotesque, I would say. That it's not my favorite commercial.
The Sega Saturn Theater of the Eye commercials is basically known today as being a horrible way to start off the marketing for the Sega Saturn in America. It was a turnoff for a lot of people. And it didn't even have the very famous Sega Scream at the end. It didn't have all the hallmarks of what made Sega commercials great commercials. It was trying something new, and a lot of people, when they watched that commercial, they didn't even know what they were even looking at.
Yeah, I wondered about the Sega Scream. I actually missed the Sega Scream, and I wondered, and I thought maybe that wasn't a thing yet, but that was a very missed opportunity with the fact that they had already gotten that into place.
All right, next up, we have the Alien vs. Predator Atari Jaguar commercial. Now, this was one of my dad and I's favorite video game commercials ever, and because of how much it made us laugh. But it's a bit of a dark humor.
Introducing Alien vs. Predator for the 64-bit Atari Jaguar. You might not want to play it alone.
Ah! Mom. Mom?
I totally see where you and your dad thought that was hilarious. That aligns absolutely with your sense of humor. I can tell you again, as a little girl watching this, absolutely know what I have enjoyed or been interested in getting that game after seeing that commercial. That would not have been my thing. But you have to have a sense of humor about it now. That is pretty funny. I, at first, was like, oh, that's funny that his mom is touching him, and then they revealed that the Predator has gotten her. I thought, oh my gosh, yes, this is very much Mark and Tyler right here. So I totally see the sense of humor. It was definitely too dark, though, for me as a child. I would not have liked it.
Yeah, this was definitely a commercial that we loved so much because we loved the game, too. And it was definitely a system seller for the Jaguar. Unfortunately, this commercial alone was not enough to save the Atari Jaguar, and it was a very poor selling console. This is the infamous, these are all infamous, aren't they? Nintendo DS commercial starring Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. It's called Touching is Good.
I've discovered a new way of enjoying my spare time.
Run, Mario, run!
I go on magical adventures with a certain Mario. And guess what? He's totally into dressing up. That Tanuki suit is my particular favorite. There are many men in my life, but for a few minutes or a few hours, I'll always find time for Mario.
Add a little fun to your life with Super Mario 3D Land, only on Nintendo 3DS.
Is it bad that I found that was the funniest one out of all of them? I thought that actually was really clever marketing. The fact that Sex and the City was so popular at the time that this came out was brilliant. Now, I don't know that it would have really appealed to children. It would have been funny for moms, and it would have been funny and understandable for dads, and maybe they would have enjoyed the fact that it was the Sex and the City character, but at the same time, aren't they marketing to children? Like, that just does not make sense. But it was funny. I did find it humorous.
Yeah, I think with this one, it's really just not knowing their audience. That I think they really kind of missed that. And it's considered one of the most like, why Nintendo moments. Like, it's Nintendo. Yeah. It's kind of weird. And it's Mario.
Yeah, it's super funny. Like, as far as hitting the bullseye with comedy, I get it, but absolutely, this is obviously a child's game, and they're talking about major innuendos that are either going to hopefully go over children's heads, or they're just not going to land. So I don't understand why you'd probably spend a big budget on somebody who was that famous of an actress at the time to then not hit your target audience.
All right, next up is a PlayStation 1 commercial. It's called Mental Wealth, and it's pretty strange. Let's just put it that way.
So 1999, Y2K. We got that going on. All right, I'm in my era.
Let me tell you what bugs me about human endeavour. I've never been the human in question. Have you? Mankind went to the moon. I don't even know where Grimsby is. Forget progress by proxy. Land on your own moon. It's no longer about what they can achieve out there in your behalf, but what we can experience up here in our own time. It's called mental wealth.
I was having trouble understanding her. Maybe it was the recording, but yeah, it definitely looks very odd. I was spending so much time looking at how odd she looked and how I couldn't understand what was being said that I was actually missing what was being said. I did hear mental wealth, but yeah, that was definitely peculiar. But you know what? 99 was a very peculiar year, and aliens and all that kind of stuff was really in. So maybe that's what they were going for.
All right, this is, I think, one of the funniest commercials ever, but I don't know if you're going to think it is. I'm very curious to know what you think of this. This is the very infamous, once again, Shenmue Sega Dreamcast commercial. Shenmue was one of my favorite games ever, and to see this commercial back in the day as like a 14-year-old, yeah, it gave me some interesting thoughts. Let's just say that.
My name is Ryo Hazuki. My father was killed by the warlord Lan Di. During my quest for vengeance, I've traveled far and wide and consorted with numerous unsavory characters. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, Nozomi.
Brian? Brian! Who's Nozomi?
Shenmue on Dreamcast, rated T for teen.
Wow. I did not see it going that way. I totally see how you would have been intrigued by this in your 14-year-old days. Wow, I was totally not seeing that. At first, I thought it was like his voiceover and the actor that was doing the voice. It was comical, just kind of how dry and love talking about me. Let's talk about you. And then for it to take that kind of a turn, wowzers, yeah. But I will say the Sega at the end of that with the black eye is gold. That is really, really funny. It was entertaining. Just just a little pushing the limits there. But it was rated teen, so I guess they knew their audience. Well, different company, but they hit the nail on the head and knew their audience with it being teen boys they were trying to attract.
Don't worry, babe. I never think about Nozomi like that.
You better not be thinking about any other girl because you're going to end up like the guy in the video. I'm just saying.
All right, so this is a very famous commercial that really disturbed a lot of people. It helped launch the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. And this is where they thought the marketing needed to be. It's the famous PlayStation 3 creepy baby commercial.
What baby needs delivered? Oh my goodness. What even? Like, what is that supposed to, how is that supposed to make you want to buy that thing? That is so creepy. If anything, I'm thinking that thing is possessed and I'm not going anywhere near it as a parent, and honestly probably as a child too, or a teen whenever this would have come out. But yeah, no, not good marketing from my point of view.
Yeah, I have no idea what they were thinking. All right, here's another Nintendo one that's just so bizarre and really horrifying, honestly. It's crazy to me that Nintendo would even want to do something like this.
Cultural. I feel like they represented so many cultures in that one. Again, yeah, I guess it helps knowing that you told me that this was about a doomsday themed video game, but I wouldn't have necessarily gotten that from the commercial that I just saw.
This one came out in 2000.
Y2K, like, oh my goodness, that was going on in the midst of all this. I'm sure people were like,
yeah, and perhaps that is what kind of fueled their creative decisions here, along with the game's storyline. I mean, honestly, though, I don't think it's a way to sell a Zelda game, a Nintendo game. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. Thought-provoking, makes you think, makes you wonder, but does it really get you excited for the game? I don't know about that. All right, this one is the last one I'm going to show you. And I don't even know what to say about this one. I'll just let you react to it. It's the Xbox Life is Short commercial.
That is not a realistic reenactment of how birth happens. I think we all know that. But wow, I was confused. It was a roller coaster of emotions. I was entertained, I was confused, I was disturbed, I was shocked and appalled by things I think I almost saw. I don't know where that was going, other than the fact that I will say this. After watching that, I thought, man, life is short. I don't want to spend it playing video games. I'm sorry, you guys. But that's exactly what I thought. And then it says, life is short, play more. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't get that message from this. So, I don't know. Tell me what people's thoughts were on this. What year did this come out, by the way?
This was 2002. So this was a year after the Xbox came out.
Okay.
And yeah.
I'm trying to think how old I would have been in 2002. Like, what was going on?
You would have been 11.
Doesn't it make you though want to not play? Like you're thinking, oh my goodness, life is short. It's flying by. I'm going to be in the grave here in a little bit. Why would I want to buy? I just think that totally missed the mark. To me, watching that through, it makes me feel like I need to get out and go spend time with my family. Like I don't want to go play a video game, but also video games really aren't my cup of tea. Not that I don't like video games. I love me some Animal Crossing, so...
Honestly, the way things are going with Microsoft and Xbox right now and the brand, it's actually a very, very fitting commercial because Xbox is 1 foot away from the grave. Okay, well, that about does it for this very first of its kind reaction kind of video here on My Retro Life. I thought it would be a lot of fun to introduce Megan, my non-gamer wife, to some of the more insane video game commercials I ever saw growing up. What did you think about all this, honey?
I definitely feel a little more cultured and maybe a little bit more confused and grossed out. And yeah, that was very bizarre. Bizarre trip down nostalgia lane for you, my love.
There was so much like gross out humor on Nickelodeon kid shows. You had like shows on MTV like Beavis and Butthead and Jackass. I mean, just the names of those shows alone, you're squarely in the 90s. And that's really where they're coming from here. They're coming from a culture at the time that was like really grungy and 90s extreme, man, extreme. And they're catering to adolescent boys.
I can see that as somebody who did not appreciate that about the 90s. I am not a grungy person. That probably also repelled me, honestly, from the video game world. It just did not interest me at all because of the fact. But I totally get and see why the marketing would have been what it was, because as we've seen from some of these commercials, you and your dad loved what was being shown on screen. So they were just going with the trends. They were trying new things. Sometimes it was a miss, but yeah, for me personally, that would not have been something that would have appealed to me as somebody who was definitely not watching Beavis and Butthead when I was a child. Sorry if that offends you.
You weren't watching Beavis and Butthead?
I was not. I was watching Full House, and in the 2000s, I was watching Lizzie McGuire. So that can kind of tell you where I was at that era.
That's why I love you.
Jerry.
What is going on up there?
All right, well, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed watching you react to these, babe. If you all enjoyed this video, all of you watching, please let me know. Let us know in the comments if you want to see more like this. Reaction videos with Megan or even myself when it comes to old retro gaming media, commercials, infomercials, or just games themselves from back in the day. Let me know in the comments below. And babe, you've got your own YouTube channel that's going on right now, and I highly recommend any of you guys watching that have girlfriends or wives who are into like health and fitness and family stuff, definitely check out Megan Esposito on YouTube, my amazing and talented wife. I'll put a link in the comments.
I have really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Thank you for letting me just take over this episode of My Retro Life.
Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.